following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFN Geek, and today I present you a review of the Transformers Studio Series 1986 G1 movie Voyager class. I guess it is Voyager class. Anyways, this is the Studio Series 86 Ironhide. And the reason why I was a little hesitant there about saying the word Voyager class is because, unfortunately, unlike the Studio Series Wreck-Gar and Scourge figures that we've gotten, Ironhide here is actually much similar to Studio Series 86 Voyager class Hot Rod, where he's actually the same height as a Deluxe class Transformers figure, but apparently he's too massive. He's quote-unquote too massive to fit in a deluxe-size Transformers box, so he's a deluxe figure that's been sold at a Voyager-class price point. Not unlike the Legacy Red Cog figure I reviewed a few weeks ago, who was sold as a Voyager due to extra weapons. No, it's just because Ironhide is apparently too bulky a deluxe-class figure to actually be packaged in a deluxe-class-sized box. When this figure was announced, a lot of Transformers fans and collectors, myself included, when it was announced that Ironhide was going to be given a Voyager class figure in the Studio Series 86 line, everyone hoped that Ironhide might be a few inches taller than the previously released Ironhide figure, which was the Earthrise Ironhide figure right here. But I've already seen in other reviews from other collectors who've gotten a hold of Studio Series Ironhide, he's the same size as Earthrise Ironhide here, so he's basically since he's being sold as a Voyager class Transformers figure, Studio Series Ironhide is unfortunately one of the smallest sized Voyager class figures that's been released, which is very disappointing. But regardless of how big of a figure or lack thereof he is, I do not regret getting Studio Series Ironhide and adding to my Transformers collection. Like most Transformers fans and collectors, Studio Series Ironhide unexpectedly appeared at Target stores last month in November. I'm recording this video, it's now December 1st, which means I only have 31 days, counting today, to get all the Transformers reviews I want to finish before the year is over, so please wish me luck with that. So here we have some artwork of Ironhide here on the front of his box. Got the same image here on this side of the box, and you got a close-up of his face. And I love that yelling pose that Ironhide is. It's based on Ironhide's most iconic scene in the Transformers Generation 1 movie, which is the scene, tragically, where he dies at the hands of Megatron. Ironhide was, in fact, the last of 4 Autobots who were the first ones to die in the Transformers Generation 1 movie. In that opening scene, based on for Transformers Generation 1 fans back when the G1 film was released, after seeing the much friendlier and more lighthearted tone of the Transformers Generation 1 movie, to see the Autobot characters of Brawn, Prowl, Ratchet, and then Ironhide die so gruesomely at the hands of the Decepticons, that was a real gut-wrenching moment, especially the fact that Ironhide survived his laser blasts, and he was still clinging on to life as he struggled, and he actually walked over and grabbed Megatron by the ankle, and the most famous line associated with Ironhide was actually spoken by Megatron, where Ironhide tried one last attempt to stop the Decepticons, and Megatron responded to Ironhide's struggle to stay alive with the phrase, "Such heroic nonsense," and then blasted him to bits. It's a very dark and gruesome ending for Ironhide in the Transformers Generation 1 franchise, and I personally have, that's always been one of the deaths that has always been gut-wrenching to me, was Ironhide's death, especially the fact that the last words he heard before dying was an insult from Megatron. That was a real devastating end for Ironhide in the G1 film. So coming on here to the back of the box, we got Ironhide in his robot mode, we got him in his vehicle mode of a Vanette. I forgot what automaker company made the Vanette. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors, well, not a lot, but some I've heard say in the past that some collectors have said in the past that Ironhide's vehicle mode of a red minivan is among the least boring of the vehicle modes that the Transformers characters could possess. And while it is somewhat of a boxy, it's basically a red box on wheels. I've just end up enjoying Ironhide so much over the years. He's become one of my favorite Transformers characters, so I can overlook the fact that his vehicle mode is a red minivan. And just for the sheer nostalgia of Ironhide as a character. His one-sentence bio on the back of the box reads that Ironhide bravely fights off a Decepticon ambush on the Autobot shuttle, and the cardboard background that you get inside the box is the scene where, again, as I said, when Ironhide dies. One thing to note that some collectors have figured out on their own is that even though here on the box, on the official product photos, the 2 laser guns that Ironhide comes with, it shows that officially they're supposed to store on the roof of his van. There's actually a better storage spot, I personally believe, where you can actually store them underneath the back area of the van when Ironhide's in his vehicle mode, and the laser guns end up doubling as a pair of exhaust pipes. And I would prefer that weapon storage, since having them as exhaust pipes, it makes Ironhide more of a robot in disguise. If you don't want this to just be Ironhide from the G1 movie, and you also want this to be Ironhide from the 2 first seasons of the G1 cartoon show. But yeah, I really enjoy how this figure looks. There's this robot mode and vehicle mode once again. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I'm just so excited to finally have this new Ironhide figure. I'm blinded with excitement at getting him out of the box. He transforms back and forth between both modes in 26 steps. And yes, that is Studio Series 86 Ironhide in his box, so let's get him opened up and take a close look at him in robot mode. Alright, and so here is Ironhide out of the box, transformed into his robot mode, holding his 2 laser guns, and I am really thrilled with how accurate he is to his animation model from the G1 cartoon show and the movie made by Sunbro Productions. I'm really liking that head sculpt that he has on there. It's really true to his G1 design. The original Generation 1 Ironhide figure was headless. It didn't have a head due to the fact that it was from Takara Tomi's Diaclone robot line, in which a human pilot actually sat in a chair behind the windshield here on the chest. And so it was Sunbow Productions that gave Ironhide a proper robot mode head. And what's ironic is that even though his original G1 action figure did not have a head, the head sculpt has become one of the most iconic features of Ironhide due to Sunbow Productions giving him a mohawk-shaped 8 helmet. So that's really impressive there. One minor gripe I have with Ironhide is that his Autobot logo is on a silver background, so even though it does pop out on his chest if you show it in a bright enough light, at most glances it's really hard to tell due to how small it is, but considering the limited space they had with how the chest was designed, I can forgive Hasbro and Takara Tomy for making the Autobot logo so small. One complaint that some collectors have with Ironhide is that his pelvis section is one gigantic piece, and some people have pointed out with these 2 lines sculpted in right here, it looks like Ironhide's pelvis was originally going to be 3 parts, because the reason for complaining about it is that if you decide to move one of Ironhide's legs forward and make it look like he's kicking something, the entire front of the pelvis, the entire hip skirt moves upward, and so you can see the joint you can see the front of his hip joint exposed there. So it's a bit of an eyesore to see that. And whether or not that was a design change at the last minute is uncertain, but considering the way it's sculpted, I think that is possible. It's been confirmed that Ironhide is going to be repainted and slightly retooled into Ratchet for the Studio Series 86 line. Whether or not Ratchet is also going to be released at mass retail the way Ironhide has been, or if he's going to be an exclusive, is uncertain. But I personally hope that Ratchet gets a mass retail release like Ironhide has done. Yeah, pretty standard articulation for Ironhide. He has a waist swivel. Head is on a ball joint, but out of the box it's a little tight, so I'm not going to mess around with it too much. His arms can hinge outward at the shoulder, and I love how they included a sculpted piece here so it doesn't look like the arms breaking off from the torso. The arms have the potential to spin 360 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise. 360-degree potential spin in at the bicep. Double jointed I look like double jointed elbows, but elbows the way the arm is sculpted, but it's a single jointed elbow. Hinged elbow. Elbow can go slightly over 90 degrees. Wrist swivels. have the potential to go 360 left clockwise and counterclockwise, but if he's holding his laser guns, the back of it will stop. The laser guns, I believe, are blast effect compatible, but I don't have any blast effects on hand to show that off. Legs can go forward that far, they can go backwards this far, or they can go outward if you move the arms out of the way that far, so Ironhide can do the splits, but you do have to move his arms up and out of the way to do the splits. Its swivel joint in the thigh, hinge knee, ankle rockers, and the toes can go up and down, but that's primarily due to a transformation joint. So yeah, pretty decent amount of articulation here on Ironhide. Now for some size comparisons with the previous G1-inspired Ironhide figures, here is Studio Series 86 Ironhide compared to Siege Ironhide, who was released back in 2019. This is supposed to be a Cybertronian version of Ironhide. And as you can see here, yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, where even though he's sold as a Voyager-class figure, Studio Series 86 Ironhide is actually a large deluxe. If you acknowledge the fact that he's a Voyager-class Transformers figure, then he's one of the smallest Voyager-class Transformers figures that's been released, due to the fact that he's virtually the exact same size as Siege Ironhide, and also, I showed this off earlier in the video, Earthrise Ironhide. So, yeah, this is a case where a new deluxe class Transformers figure was just barely large enough that Hasbro and Takara Tomy decided, oh, we can make more money if we sell it as a small-sized Voyager class figure rather than a large deluxe. So, I'm just spitballing, but if that was actually the case, but so don't quote me on that. But I think that is one of the better reasons for why Hasbro and Takara Tomy sold this as a Voyager class figure instead of a deluxe. I was hoping that Earthrise Ironhide, that Studio Series Ironhide, might be a head taller than Earthrise Ironhide, as I'm trying to create with the optical illusion here of. You can create the optical illusion here of him being much larger than Earthrise Ironhide, but the fact that they're the same size is very discouraging. But make no mistake, I wholeheartedly enjoy Earthrise Ironhide, and despite the flaws of having different colored paint and plastic and having hinge joints sticking out of it, and what I'm talking about is his vehicle mode. Despite having different shades of red and hinge joints and transformation joints sticking out of it, I am much more impressed with the alt mode of Studio Series 86 Ironhide than I am with Earthrise Ironhide. Earthrise Ironhide, I felt, was always a lazily done Transformers figure, due to the fact that in vehicle mode, Earthrise Ironhide, the back of his vehicle mode is the robot mode feet, and he has the exact same Cybertronian style wheels that were both used on the Siege version of Ironhide released back in 2019. I can forgive Siege Ironhide for having these, since it's supposed to be the vehicle mode he had when he was living on planet Cybertron, but when he came to Earth to still have half of his parts here, it took away from him being a robot in disguise, and I think the Studio Series 86 Ironhide figure pulls off being a robot in disguise much more successfully than Earthrise Ironhide did. One nice thing to note about all three of these Ironhide figures, that they are each different shades of red, and I apologize for my fingers being in the way. Yeah, the Earthrise Ironhide, he's actually like a dulled, old rose red, and Siege Ironhide, he's actually slightly brighter, like strawberry type red, and then Studio Series 86 Ironhide, he's the same very bright, vibrant. In the artistic world, this shade of red is known as cherry red. And it's very accurate to his animation model. I apologize for my camera making it look like a Studio Series 86 Ironhide is pink. I think that's what my camera is doing to it, but it's actually a much more vibrant shade of red than what my camera is making it out to be. So, further delay, let's get Studio Series Ironhide transformed into his vehicle mode and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Studio Series 86 Ironhide transformed into his alt mode of a Sherry Vanette, and a lot of the main problem that a lot of collectors have been having with Ironhide is that in alt mode his tabs don't want to tab in place properly together, and unfortunately my copy of Ironhide is no better. The way the last step in his transformation works is that you have to untab the way the final step in Ironhide's transformation works is that these side panels and the roof have to end up sandwiching together to complete the middle section of his vehicle mode. But the way the angles of everything line up properly, it doesn't want to tab in place together that well. And I think the main problem here is that because Ironhide's robot mode shoulders, they're sitting at an angle where they're free to rotate whatever direction they want to go. And they have to be at a specific angle to make sure that everything lines up properly and locks into place. So I don't know if it's because I have the shoulders rotated at the incorrect angle, but as far as I know, that's the only angle they can go. Yeah, that's the only angle they can go, so it is very discouraging that, unless it's the way the hands are rotated. Let me see. No, even then, that's the only side they can go on, is that way. Let's see if putting the hands at a different angle makes any difference. Doesn't really feel like it. Well, even though the difference isn't that much, it does make a bit of a difference how you have the hands rotated. So, before I had the hands rotated with the thumbs facing down like this, but if you rotate the fist where the thumb is pointing sideways, for some reason, that sitting at that angle allows the arms to sit in place more properly. So, just be aware that that is one of the main gripes to be had with Ironhide, is that his panel sections, particularly the ones here on the roof with these two clear blue plastic posts where you can store his guns on the roof of his van, and if you desire, go, and presumably that's where the light bar siren for Ratchet is going to go, is on those two tabs. And also the back bumper section, those two panels want to separate in half. So just be aware that those tabs don't want to look in place properly, but overlooking those panel sections, along with at least there's my tongue works, sorry. But there's at least 3 different shades of red to be found on Ironhide in his vehicle mode. My camera is blurring them together, but unfortunately, with your own in-person, the different shades of red are much more noticeable. Specifically, the different shades of the red paint on the parts of Ironhide that are made out of the clear blue plastic used for his windows, the red plastic, as the different shades of red plastics. There's a more matte red plastic used here on Ironhide's roof, and then these hinge joints right here that stick out of the side of him, that's a red matte plastic. My camera's showing that it doesn't shine as much as the red plastic used throughout the rest of Ironhide. But despite these flaws, I still enjoy how Studio Series Ironhide came out. I love the way the front grille is painted. I love the proper Earth-style tires and wheels, and that Hasbro and Takara went the extra mile and actually painted the hubcaps silver, so his wheels look like they have actual hubcaps and tires. And also, on top of everything else, even though that back bumper section doesn't tab in place Ace 2 successfully, I love how Studio Series 86 Fire has a proper backside to his van mode, unlike the Earthrise Ironhide figure that was released 2 years ago in 2020. As you can see, he's got the same tires as the Siege Ironhide mold, but more of an eyesore, and what takes away from Earthrise Ironhide successfully being a robot in disguise, unlike the Studio Series 86 Ironhide figures, that he has the same robot mode feet as Siege Ironhide, which ends up forming the back section of the vehicle mode. So, Studio Series 86 Ironhide does successfully become more of a robot in disguise in van mode. In van mode, Earthrise Ironhide is a bulkier van than Studio Series 86 Ironhide is. They're equally as wide, but Earthrise Ironhide is slightly taller due to the fact that the roof ends up transforming into a riot shield / backpack. Again, it's a separate piece. That's a callback to how the Generation 1 Ironhide figure had the roof come off and become a gun station. and station. Ignoring the exhaust pipe laser guns, bumper to bumper. For Earthrise Ironhide is a fraction of is 1/16 of an inch longer. So, by all accounts, Earthrise Ironhide is bigger he's definitely bigger in vehicle mode. In robot mode, they're about the same. So, as much as I hate to say it, Earthrise Ironhide is a slightly larger Ironhide figure than Studio Series 86 Ironhide is. And just for a size comparison with every Ironhide figure I brought out here is the Siege Ironhide. But make no mistake, I still believe the Studio Series 86 Ironhide has blown the Earthrise Ironhide away, especially in terms of being a robot in disguise. So do I recommend getting the Studio Series 86 Ironhide figure and adding it to your Transformers collection? I absolutely do. You cannot go wrong having Ironhide in your Transformers collection. When the eventual Ratchet figure that will be mold mates with Ironhide gets released, I am going to be getting that Ratchet figure. And I love the fact that you don't have to rely on the option of putting the laser guns on top of Ironhide's roof. You can plug them here onto the backside of him, and you can have them act as a pair of either exhaust pipes or rocket boosters that he can have in his vehicle mode. I wish they would have done another tab that would have allowed the back sections of these panels to flip in place more properly. But all things considered, I do enjoy how this figure came out. And I'm glad that I was able to pick it up at my local Target store. So thank you guys all so much. This has been the TFN Geek, and until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye.